Hi, today I am going to read for you Hachiko, the true story of a loyal dog. And look I have my loyal dog Leo here. Do you guys have a dog or a kitty or a bunny or a lizard or a stuffed animal that is your loyal companion? Leo's a good doggy. He loves stories, so he's going to listen to the story of Hachiko. So Hachiko lived in Japan, and when I was younger, I lived in Japan for a while, and I heard about this story, and I just loved it. Look there's that little boy with the dog. And do you see that's Japanese writing? That's what Japanese writing looks like. Very different from our alphabet, huh? There is a statue of my old friend at the entrance to Shibuya Station. Shibuya Station is a big train station in Tokyo. His bronze feet are bright and shiny, polished by thousands of friendly hands. There's a sign that says simply, "Loyal Dog Hachiko." I close my eyes and remember the day we met so long ago. That's true. I've been to that train station and I have seen that statue of Hachiko. He's very, very famous. When I was 6 years old, my family moved to a little house in Tokyo near the Shibuya train station. At first, the trains frightened me, but after a while, I grew to enjoy their power and the furious noises they made. One day, I begged Mama to take me to meet Papa as he came home on the afternoon train. She laughed and said, "Kentaro, you have become big and brave just like a samurai." Together, we walked to the station. Look at that big train. It was spring, and the day was clear and cold. There were tiny carts all around the station, selling snacks, newspapers, and hundreds of other things to the crowds of people rushing by. Ladies in kimonos, do you know what kimonos are? Kimonos are those long Japanese robes that Japanese women wear. And they walked carefully, trying to keep their white socks away from the grime of the streets. Businessmen strode about, hurrying home or to catch another train. Mama and I had stopped near the station entrance when I noticed a dog. He was sitting quietly, all alone, by a newspaper stand. He had thick, cream-colored fur, small pointed ears, and a broad, bushy tail that curved up and over his back. I wondered if the dog was a stray, but he was wearing a nice leather harness and looked healthy and strong. His brown eyes were fixed on the station entrance. You see him waiting? Just then, Papa appeared. He was chatting with an older man. The dog bounded over to the man, his entire body wiggling and squirming with delight. His eyes shone and his mouth curled up into something that looked to me just like a smile. "Ah, Kentaro, you see Dr. Ueno. You are not the only one who has someone to welcome him," said Papa. He introduced us to the older man. "Dr. Ueno works with me at Tokyo Imperial University." "What is your dog's name?" I asked timidly. The dog was beautiful, but his sharp face reminded me of a wolf. I grabbed Mama's kimono and stepped behind her just in case. Do you see him hiding behind her? See, and she's wearing a Japanese kimono. Where are you going, Leo? Leo's kind of bored with the story, I guess. Are you going to sit over there? Okay. Don't be afraid, said Dr. Ueno kindly. This is Hachiko. He is big but still a puppy. He walks me to the station every morning and waits for me to come home every afternoon. I think Hachiko stores up all of his joy all day long and then lets it out all at once. Hachiko stood wagging his tail next to Dr. Ueno. I reached out to touch him, and he bounced forward and sniffed my face. I yelped and jumped back behind my mama. They all laughed. Oh, Kentaro, don't worry. He just wants to get to know you, said Dr. Ueno. Dogs can tell a lot about people just by smelling them. Why, Hachiko probably knows what you had for lunch. I sniffed my hand, but it didn't smell like rice balls to me. That's what they eat, a lot of rice in Japan. I reached out and touched Hachiko gently on the shoulder. His fur is so thick and soft, I said, like a bear's. Dogs like Hachiko once hunted bears in the north, where it is very cold and snowy, said Dr. Ueno, kneeling down next to me and rubbing Hachiko's ears. From that day on, I went to the station almost every afternoon, but I no longer went to see the trains. I went to see Hachiko. He was always there waiting near the newspaper stand. I often saved a morsel of my lunch and hid it in one of my pockets. Hachiko would sniff me all over, wagging his tail until he found a sticky bit of fish or soybean cake. Then he would nudge me with his nose as if to say, "Give me that prize." When it was cold, I would bury my face in his thick ruff of creamy fur around his neck. One day in May, I was waiting at the station with Hachiko. The moment I saw Papa, I knew something was wrong. He was alone and had walked hunched over, staring sadly at the gray pavement under his feet. What do you think happened? "What's the matter, Papa?" I asked him anxiously, standing with one hand on Hachiko's broad head. He sighed. "Kentaro, let's go home." Hachiko's bright brown eyes followed us as we walked away, but he stayed behind, waiting for Dr. Ueno. When we got home, Papa told us that Dr. Ueno had died that morning at the university. I was stunned. "But what will happen to Hachiko?" I asked, blinking hard to keep the tears back. "What will he do?" "I don't know," said Papa. "Perhaps Dr. Ueno's relatives will take him in." "What about tonight?" I asked. "Can we go see if he's all right?" Papa was very sad and tired, but he walked with me back to Shibuya Station. Hachiko was curled up by the newspaper stand. He wagged his tail when he saw us. Papa and I gave him water in an old chipped bowl and some food. Hachiko ate and drank, but he kept looking up toward the train entrance for Dr. Ueno. Papa and I left even sadder than we had come. The next day, I went back to check on Hachiko, but he was not there. Papa told me that Hachiko had been taken several miles away to live with some of Dr. Ueno's relatives. "But I'll never see him again," I cried. "Why can't he live with us?" "We don't have room for a dog," protested Papa. "And Hachiko really belongs to Dr. Ueno's relatives. Now that Dr. Ueno is dead, Hachiko is better off having a home than sitting at a train station." I don't know, what do you think? But Hachiko had other ideas. A few days later, he was back at Shibuya Station, patiently waiting, his brown eyes fixed on the entrance. Hachiko had run back to his home and from there to Shibuya Station. Mama and Papa let me take food and water to Hachiko every day. Mama grumbled a bit about the food, saying we couldn't afford to feed a big bear like Hachiko, but she always seemed to cook more rice than we could eat. Other people at the station took an interest in Hachiko. Men and women who rode Papa and Dr. Ueno's train stopped by to scratch his ears and say a few kind words. One day, I saw an old man filling Hachiko's water bowl as Hachiko licked his hand. The old man's hair was streaked with gray, and he was stooped, as if he had spent most of his life bent over to the ground. But his eyes were as sharp and bright as Hachiko's. "Are you young, Kentaro?" the old man asked. I nodded. "I'm Mr. Kobayashi. I was Dr. Ueno's gardener." "Dr. Ueno told me that you and Hachiko often wait for the afternoon train together." "Do you still take care of the house where Dr. Ueno lived?" I asked. "Yes," said Mr. Kobayashi. "Hachiko came back to the house every night to sleep on the porch, but in the morning he walks to the station just like he did with Mr. Ueno. When the last train leaves the station, he returns home." We were both silent. Then I asked, "Do you think Hachiko knows that Mr. Ueno died?" Mr. Kobayashi said thoughtfully, "I don't know, Kentaro. Perhaps he still hopes that Dr. Ueno will someday return. Or perhaps he knows Dr. Ueno is dead, but he waits at the station to honor his master's memory." As the years passed and Hachiko got older, he became very stiff and could barely walk to Shibuya Station. But still he went every day. People began collecting money to build a statue of Hachiko at the station. Papa and Mama and I all gave money, and we were very happy when the statue was placed next to the spot Hachiko had waited for so many years. One chilly morning, I woke to the sound of Mama crying. "What's wrong?" I asked. As I stumbled into the kitchen, Papa sat silently at the table, and Mama turned her tear-stained face to me. "Hachiko died last night at Shibuya Station," she choked. "Still waiting for Mr. Ueno." I was 17 and too big to cry, but I went to the other room and did not come out for a long time. I think maybe he was crying. I don't think you're ever too big to cry. Later that day, we all went to the station. To our great surprise, Hachiko's spot near the newspaper stand was covered in flowers, placed there by many friends. Old Mr. Kobayashi was there. He shuffled over to me and put a hand on my shoulder. "Hachiko didn't come back to the house last night," he said quietly. "I walked to the station and found him. I think his spirit is with Dr. Ueno's. Don't you?" "Yes," I whispered. The big bronze statue of Hachiko is a very famous meeting place in Shibuya Station. Shibuya Station is enormous now, and hundreds of thousands of people travel through it every day. People always say to each other, "Let's meet at Hachiko." Today, Hachiko is a place where friends and family, long separated, come together again. Look at all those people, and there's the statue of Hachiko. Isn't that a beautiful memory? It's a sad story, but it's a really beautiful memory, how even when people or things we love die, how we can remember them and that they end up being a beautiful memory for a lot of people. Thank you for listening.